Morning, Callum.
Morning.
Bit of sun in Glasgow today.
Yes, nice, thank goodness.
Callum, I don't think your team got the praise they deserved last weekend. I thought they put in a good, solid, gritty performance against Dunfermline. It probably wasn't really reflected in the reports. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, I thought, especially second half, were a lot better. I thought we dominated the game. The only probably thing I'll probably say is, I'll probably go on to this Arbroath game in a minute when we talk about it, is when we get to that final third, we have to ask more questions. I think Dunfermline got chances from a long throw, a couple of long throws, a free kick, or a corner. So that's where their chances came from. But we all seem to have a lot of good play. I think I've said before, sometimes I like to score really poor goals. A lot of scrappy goals, they can win you those type of games. But performance level, I definitely thought we're back to where we kind of were and where we want to be. From Dunfermline, I think especially second half. I think it was, the more we got into the game, the better we got, and a lot of positive signs there. Again, we've had a wee kind of mini slump, which is not great because obviously since I've come in, you can't really afford to have it. So we really need to make sure when we go to the game on Saturday, we're going with all guns blazing. We need to make sure we go and ask loads of questions of them. Still play the football, but when we get into areas where we can ask them questions, ask them to defend more. I think that's probably the biggest take from last Saturday is, can we ask their back line to do more last minute defending, last ditch defending, and then on the flip side, can we then be braver? I think it took us a wee while to sort of step in. We asked the boys to be a bit more play forward. The pitch wasn't great on Saturday. I thought we didn't do that. I was getting a bit frustrated for the first 20 minutes because we didn't do it. We didn't ask them what they did, and then once you start to do it, I think you saw we started then playing their half rather than sort of playing the middle third.
In the circumstances, it was a point gained as opposed to 2 lost.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's difficult. I think they're a lot better team than Dunfermline when we last played them. They had a lot of players back fit. They've got Chris Kane up front, who's probably playing for me a Premier League striker. So they're a lot more sort of structure to the team. They had obviously some of their big hitters back. So it was a tough game. We always knew it was going to be tough. For me, it was good to see Stuart McKinstry play at a decent level. Dom Thomas obviously back as well. So a lot of positives. So hopefully after the next 2 games we'll say it's a point gained and look at it that way.
Heading up to Arbroath this weekend. It's Arbroath's last home game after a few years in the Championship. I'd imagine that'd be motivation for them. Yeah,
I think it's motivation anyway. We've actually watched all their games at home, and they've all been pretty close. There's always goals in the game. It's something we need to do. We need to make, as I said there, we need to try and put pressure on them. The games I've had at Arbroath, I've watched them. Some of them are lucky not to get results. There's always a difficult place to go, and we know that. But we need to go and win the game. So for Arbroath, they've been fantastic. They've been in the league for a few years now. But again, it's one of those, I can't really focus too much on Arbroath. I need to make sure Queen's Park go up and get 3 points.
You mentioned the pressure word there. Is it, it's the old adage, there's no pressure in them?
There's always pressure. There's always pressure within yourself, and there's pressure on us, there's pressure on them. They want a result. So you never go into a game, and I've never ever seen it. I've never thought myself, I've never gone to a game not wanting to win it. No matter if it's tennis, squash, anything, you're all going to try and win the game, and that's all you try and do. So you put pressure on yourself. There's probably more pressure on us because we need to make sure we get the points, and we'll have to attack, we'll have to take chances up there. We have been trying to do that in the season as the season's on, but sometimes it's difficult when certain things in the game you can't control. So I think for me it's go up there, be positive, play the conditions. It's one of those, I don't know how the pitch will be. Also it was a poor pitch last week, so we need to make sure we play the conditions well, whether it's windy or not, and make sure we do the right things.
It was obviously Danny missed the game last weekend, and Jack Thompson went off just after half time with a knockout. Are the boys training this week?
Not at the moment, no. So I think it's one of those, probably have to give them as long as possible. I think it's important that you get to this time of season, you have players available for you on Saturday. Now we'd like them to train earlier, but at the moment they're not trained, so we'll assess them probably late as we can and make judgment calls on them and see where they are. I thought Will was excellent. He came in, he stood in for Danny. I thought Will was excellent in the game for us on Saturday. So if Danny's not available, then we've got some good able replacements for either.
All we can hope for is a day like this at Gayfield.
Be very unusual. I'd rather 3 points than a day like this.
Okay, agreed.
Agreed.
Thanks, Callum.
Cheers, thank you.